Good? I'll wait for their bells to go off. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Would everyone please rise for a salute to the flag and a short prayer? Almighty God, grant us the wisdom to make those decisions that are in the best interest of all our residents. May the Heavenly Father of us all bless those who have given the ultimate sacrifice and service to our nation, and may He watch over and protect our servicemen and women now guarding the gates of freedom. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Statement of publication.
Take notice that this regular meeting of the mayor and council being held on this 25th day of November 2019 has been advertised and posted in accordance with Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975.
Roll call.
Councilpersons Buchanan.
Here.
Delina.
Here.
Enriquez.
Here.
Kilpatrick.
Here.
Miguel. Novak.
Here.
At this time, I move the minutes from November 12, 2019, regular agenda session be approved, subject to correction.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I'm going to go out of order a little bit here, and at this time, I'm going to open up the public portion. We're going to go to number 7, which is the consent agenda resolutions. This is going to be 2019-349 through 2019-362. Does anybody have any comments or concerns regarding any of these? Yes, ma'am? Come on up. When you come up, please state your name and your address for the record.
Ruth Ann Mahoney, 2 Gerard Place, Parlin. Just have a question on 2019-362.
Yes.
How long is the contract for?
6 months.
Okay, and is there any knowledge of the monies that Hackensack was giving to the town, the borough? If the contract is not extended longer, does any of that monies have to be returned?
No.
No?
I would imagine that money would be a prorated basis anyway. It wouldn't give us the whole thing at once anyway.
No, it's prorated, right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public wish to speak?
Dexter Thomas, 151 Main Street, Server, New Jersey, President, Server Emergency Squad. In regards to 29-362, I have a question for Dan. On the arrangements of them parking the ambulance in the building, is that from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m.?
Right, can you repeat that again, please?
The parking of one of the vehicles at our building,
Right.
is that from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Only?
only? In other words, once they leave the building, they can park it outside, but parking inside the building was supposed to only be from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. But I heard otherwise.
You've heard otherwise.
All right, so it's 6 a.m., 6 p.m.
No, you heard, they are using one of those bays.
Correct. From 6 a.m. to 6 p.m.
They were using it for 24/7.
We never agreed with that.
Well, they're,
That was never even
was
discussed
never-
at our meetings.
okay, so if we can have a discussion at the moment, is there any reason why you feel that rig should not be in the building, in the bay, 24/7?
Yes, because we're making room for it. Just we take them on our trucks and moving it back just so they can park their big truck in that building between that time. Now, where we putting that truck is that our truck back is next to the oxygen room.
Okay.
And I don't know if you remember years ago, you might not have been around, but years ago, we almost got cited for that from OSHA because of the fact that when you're in the oxygen room, if something happened, you have to clear a path to get out the oxygen room. You can't have something blocking you.
Okay.
All right?
How many bays are in the building?
10 bays,
And how many rigs we have?
and every bay is taken up.
By rigs?
Rigs, we have 4 rigs, rescue truck, antique vehicle, boat, 2 boats, all right,
Okay.
and first responder vehicle,
And ALS vehicle.
yeah, an AOS vehicle.
So let me, if I'm allowed to, we have a person from here from Hackensack. Could I ask him to come up, Mayor?
Yes, go ahead. Do
Is Mark Bober in the audience there?
you have a microphone for him?
You should really state your name.
Yeah, make sure you state your name and the company you're with. Here, we're gonna give you your own mic.
Mark Bober, Director of EMS for Hackensack Meridian Health JFK.
So Mark, what Dexter Thomas is asking, that the rig only be in from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, and that is all. Do you have any issues with that to work with them?
No, we can certainly accommodate that. The understanding was that the rent that we were going to pay was for 24 hours a day from the RFP.
And we'll
but
prorate that. We'll prorate that based on 6 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Absolutely fine, not a problem.
Okay, Dexter?
Okay, thank
Okay.
you. One more question. No, this question's for him. It says, so you signing a contract tonight?
We are voting to authorize
Authority to execute.
authority to execute.
So in other words, there's still gonna be the process of different things like the protocols, which we're gonna add to, correct? Remember, they sent me a letter, email saying that the protocols, we have to send.
Dexter, I think you have to address
Yeah,
Mayor,
address
okay?
me and
I'm
we'll,
sorry.
we'll
Anyway,
ask.
the protocols, we got, I actually gave Mary a copy of the protocols. And if you look at some of those protocols, they're not right, all right? I don't have it in front of me, but Mary has it. She can read one of them that I pointed out to her.
Okay, we were having a problem with Sayreville dispatchers not sending out volunteer ambulances when one was available, going directly to JFK Meridian. And although the chief admitted and the one dispatcher admitted they are having a problem with that, we made an agreement with Hackensack Meridian to be the primary dispatcher and hopefully would eliminate this. If we're available, then we should be dispatched. Unbeknownst to me, I got a call that when you went to Morgan, you told Morgan that if they are not in the building, that's considered out of service and they will not be dispatched. Well, we might as well stay with Sayreville dispatchers if that's the case, because basically that's what they were doing. If we, they just weren't dispatching us. And this isn't, people are saying, oh, you're trying to protect the volunteers. I'm trying to protect the residents of this town. They are going to be getting the same service, only on one hand, they're going to get a $2,700 bill, and if they get the volunteers, they don't get any bill at all. If the volunteers are available, this was one of the reasons why I wasn't happy with this, because it wasn't written in the RFPs where specifically, if we notified the other hospital, they would stand down if we had a crew. Now, that's not the way I read this here, but I might be reading this incorrectly. It says here, during primary response time, you'll be the primary, but once the call screening starts, they will contact Sayreville Police. Sayreville Police will transmit an alert to an appropriate EMS agency to respond. If 5 minutes, if the appropriate EMS agency has not responded, the dispatch will dispatch the closest JFK, Hackensack Meridian, JFK BLS. Now, is that only at night or is that during the day?
Mary, I think our contract that we have for the RFP was from Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Yes, for the
That's the-
primary response, that's usually the first call. If
But that's
there's
their,
a second
but that's what they'll be contracted as, right? From Monday through Friday.
for the first call.
Right.
If there's a second call and we have a volunteer ambulance available,
Right?
they should be the ones that's dispatched.
I don't think,
So we had a meeting in which all of us came together, all of us agreed upon a process to move forward, and the document that I believe you're referencing is based on consensus from that day. So the only part in which it speaks about needing to be in the building is from 6A to 6P. If the volunteers are in the building from 6A to 6P, then they're capable of the exact same response, and as the closest unit, they will absolutely go.
Well, your interpretation of that meeting is different than mine, and I didn't even hear you say that at the Sayreville Emergency Squad meeting. I was just told that you said that at Morgan. That was never my understanding. If a second call comes in and we have a volunteer ambulance sitting there just because they're not physically in the building, for 80 years, we've responded from our homes, and the residents were totally happy with that. Now, you know yourself, 90% of the calls, 5 minutes one way or the other, isn't going to make any difference except for a bill. And if there's a volunteer squad, again, I'm not just trying to protect the volunteers, I'm trying to protect the residents of the town. These people, they've come very accustomed to calling for an ambulance and not getting a bill. And it can't happen all the time anymore. I realize that's why we asked you to come in and help. But if you're out on a call and a second call comes in, and we have this great system where it shows up on the screen that we have a crew and we have a crew available, they should be dispatched on the call. And then if they, for some reason, they can't get out, then it should go to Hackensack Meridian. But to just keep dispatching Hackensack Meridian when we have volunteers just sitting, waiting for that call to come in, it's not fair to the residents of the town.
I can certainly appreciate what you're saying, and with the understanding that we are simply the vendor and that this is going to be set up the way that you want it to be set up. We took notes at that meeting, and the document you're referencing is from the consensus we believe that was reached at that meeting. So if it needs to be amended in any way, then it certainly can be.
Well,
However,
I'm going to be honest with you. I read this, and it says under primary response time, and it goes into if they're not on duty, but they are on duty but not in the station, the following process will be followed. But what you just said is exactly what Morgan said, that you said to them at the meeting. Well, that's only between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. It's not during 6 a.m. to 6 p.m.
correct. Ultimately, what we left that meeting with an understanding of from both the chief of police and from everybody else present was that the standard for 6A to 6P Monday through Friday was 7 minutes or 9 minutes. And if that couldn't be reached by somebody coming from home, then that crew would have to be in the building and rostered inappropriately. That was what we understood that day.
My understanding, when we originally went out for the RFP, was that if we had a crew available, they were going to notify dispatch, and dispatch would notify the provider with a certain amount of notice, and we would be the primary. Now, when did that all change?
And I thought it was not between hours of 6 a.m. and 6 p.m.
6 a.m. to 6 p.m. That was the original discussions that we had with the RFP when we were making it, was that if we had a squad available, they were to call dispatch and let them know, and there was a lot of time. It wasn't like you were going to call them at 5 a.m. There was ample time, and that we were going to be the primary still. And now it seems like it's gone 180 degrees, and even when we have people there, they have to be in the building. They're not going to have people in the building.
I got a question here. So you're telling me that JFK or whoever is there has an ambulance sitting in the building, and we have people sitting at home, it's better to call the people sitting at home?
No, what did I just say? I said if they're out on a
5
call.
minutes didn't make a difference. 5 minutes, I'm sorry, makes a lot of difference.
That's not what she said.
No, that's not what I said.
She said.
I said the first call should always go out to JFK, okay? Because they're sitting in the building. But the second call, if we have a crew available, it shouldn't be going to another JFK unit. It should be going to our volunteers. And they're saying no. If they're not in the building, they don't even get the second call.
With respect, we're not saying no to anything. However you want this built and structured
Oh,
is how we'll
okay.
do it.
But what-
Excuse me, Mayor. So therefore, if in fact we have, maybe we can short-circuit this, if in fact there is a crew available and within, the recommended time, you would be okay in calling a Sayreville EMS squad?
Absolutely.
Okay. So what we can do is maybe the protocols that you're referring to that I haven't seen, maybe we can amend them and I will incorporate them into the contract.
Okay.
But I gotta, if you could amend those protocols and make sure that Mr. Bober sees them and he okays them, then I will make sure that they are referenced in the contract that we have the authority to execute today. Is that okay, Mr. Bober?
Sure.
Can I ask
Now,
one
Mary,
question? Can I-
one second, Vicky. Now, Mary, I don't see the protocols, but again, I'm going back to I understand that. I'm going back to our original discussions with the RFP. If our squads have someone available the night before and they notify dispatch, is there anything in there addressing that?
No, again, that was what we discussed. We still left JFK listed as primary, even though when we discussed it, we said that the volunteers would be primary if they had a crew available. When the RFPs came in, there was only one hospital that agreed with that. And the council agreed to go with the other hospital. But at the same time, they were willing to stand down on everything. I have no problem with, if JFK is in the building, they should get the first call. But if the second call comes in,
Sure, if they have a
and
duty,
we
if they have-
don't have the crew in the building, but we have a crew, instead of going to a second JFK crew that's not in the building, we should be going to the volunteers.
My question is to that point. Please tell me that what really dictates what crew goes out is the one that is the closest and the quickest responding?
My belief is that the protocols in our hands state exactly that the closest unit will go with the shortest response time.
Okay, that's the only thing that I need to know.
Okay, but again, that's not what was said. What was said at Morgan is if they are not in the building, they are considered out of service and they will not be dispatched. Those were the words that, I don't want to, I know Dexter's up here speaking. This was
Who's in
from
charge
Morgan.
of dispatch? We're in charge of dispatch,
So
correct?
let's just make.
No, we turned it over to JFK.
No.
Yes, it is.
Who
No,
gets the
dispatch,
call?
no.
No, that's not accurate. It better not be. That's not my understanding of it.
Dispatch, our dispatch gets the call first.
Right, and there's a one button to send it to them and they dispatch the unit.
Correct. And you wanted it to be that way to go to Hackensack Meridian because we're having problems with our dispatchers getting the dispatch of our crews out.
Right.
So at all of those meetings, we had to have some inherent trust, okay, that Hackensack Meridian would be doing exactly what Vicky said, calling out the unit that's the closest, that is ready to go, and Hackensack Meridian said they would do that. So to me, I don't understand. They said they would do that. It's in the protocol to do that. I don't understand what the
Apparently,
problem is.
It's not in the protocol to do that. If they are not in the building, they are considered off-duty and they will not be dispatched. That's what was said. And I want it in writing that that's not going to happen.
So there's obvious confusion as far as the protocols go. So my suggestion is that we relook at these protocols and make sure that we're all on board on them before we do anything. Because I don't think,
I don't know if there is anything that's,
there's definitely confusion that the squads are thinking differently than what we're hearing up here. 'Cause
What
they're-
we're hearing out here is that he's willing to do what we tell him to do.
Right, but that's not in the.
But what I'm saying is what you said. If they are not physically in the building, they're considered off-duty and will not be dispatched.
I think what you can do is.
During the primary hours of 6 to 6.
I think what you can do, Mary, is make sure that the protocols are amended by Dexter tomorrow. Mr. Brober will get them. I will make sure that I will incorporate them into the contract so that the RFP and the protocols are coexistent. And that should then allow us to go ahead and move for the motion to execute, but I will not have the contract executed until I get the protocols.
I'm fine with that.
Okay, thank you.
I want to do what's best for the residents of the town.
Anyone else from the public? Come on up, Don. For me, Don.
My name's Don Riley. As everyone knows, I'm the president of Morgan First Aid Squad. I do not live in the borough of Sayreville, so I don't have the same statute as everybody else does, but Mark and I have had some conversations, and Thursday night, he did ask to come to our squad meeting. I had Mark there, and my concerns were dispatch protocols and things. And again, I've been harping on dispatch protocols. I am against our dispatch for months. I get a protocol at 3 o'clock this afternoon. Unfortunately, I couldn't discuss with Mark what my concerns were. Again, it seems like we don't want the volunteers. And I don't think Mark wants to take over the volunteers. I don't think the Borough Council wants us to go away. But the way it's coming out and the way the public is looking at it and the way everybody else is seeing it, well, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Don Riley gets a protocol, and now I have to act on this by 7 o'clock for a council meeting. I was told Thursday night that I would have these over the weekend so I could review them with my people. I didn't even get them until 3-something this afternoon on my telephone. And again, I know Eddie's busy, I know you guys are busy, but if we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do it, yeah, you're right, it has changed, Dan, since the day we started, when we said that they were gonna come in and help us out. But I'll tell you what, I agree with Mary, the primary ambulance should come out of the building if they're getting paid to be there. But if the primary ambulance goes out, and Morgan Squad has a crew, or Saraville, or a combination of both, the second call should be dispatched. And right now, the way the protocols are set up, they're not set up to do that. I'm sorry, it's me.
I'm lucky my
I'm
phone.
sorry. But, so, we definitely need to sit down and, I have no problem signing this contract, or the Borough Council signing this contract and going forward with it. What I'm saying is, we need to be more open with the people. Somebody kill this dude. I'm sorry, I apologize for that. All I'm saying is that we need to make sure that when the change, Mark, how many times has this changed since you put the initial protocols in? That's what I'm saying. So we're not voting on the same thing, or we're not acting on the same thing that we started out with when, look at Dan. Dan is sitting there saying that we never agreed to that. Well, we did start agreeing to different things. And that's the problem. The protocol was written one way, and kill that, please. And the protocol was written one way, and we still, till this day, do not have a dispatch protocol. What is the protocol for dispatch to the Borough of Saraville? We still don't have it. I've been asking for it at this council meeting for the last year and a half and still don't have the proper thing. How can I tell this man what I want if I don't know what I want? And that's what I've been telling the mayor and council, and that's what I've been saying all along. And at 3 o'clock in the afternoon to get this piece of paper handed to me and say, this is gonna be your protocol, how am I supposed to accept it, or how am I supposed to swallow it? And how am I supposed to even figure out if it's good or bad?
Well,
Who's in charge of
we're gonna give you an
No,
opportunity, we're gonna.
I understand that, now
revise it.
you are. But up until we came here tonight, it was gonna be just passed on and rubber stamped and it was over with.
Well,
What protocol were we
who's in
running with? What protocol were we running with for the year and a half you're talking prior?
We don't have a protocol.
Who's in
problem. We've
charge
been
of,
asking-
who's in charge of creating the protocol?
Police department and these first aid squads mutually.
Wonderful.
And I do not have, I've been asking and do not have one still.
So,
And then I was told I was given one, and the protocol I was given was 10 years old.
So just a couple of pieces.
No, that's not their fault, that's what I'm saying. But how can I tell them what I want if I don't know what I want?
But just a couple pieces of that. First, 3 o'clock today, the motion as it stands, this is separate from that. This is what you, the police, and the stakeholders within Saraville choose to operationalize. And as I said, we're simply the vendor. We're going to operationalize whatever you reach a consensus on, because that's our role in this.
Well, that's what I
Our
mean.
role is not to create it. It's to simply do what all of you feel is in the best interest of the town.
100% behind it.
Because right in front of you, you can see it says draft on it. And Eddie's email, when he sent it out, asked for all of your feedback on whether or not it was correct. It was not rubber stamp this, send us through, and this is the version that you're going to use. This was for all of you who were at that meeting to say yay or nay to. And everything that appears on that piece of paper, when we left that meeting that day and Dan said, everybody needs to stand behind this, is everybody okay with what was discussed here? We simply put what was discussed there in that meeting on the 7th on that piece of paper. If that has changed, we're more than happy to accommodate that. We just need to know what direction you'd like us to move in.
Again, I was at that meeting. It was,
I was not, unfortunately. I was in
that was not my understanding. The whole idea of asking you to take over dispatch was because we were having a problem with our current dispatchers dispatching JFK Meridian when we had a crew available. And it was taking an extended period of time. I had complaints from at least 2 I can name off the top of my head, where it took over 20 minutes And we had a volunteer rig in town, and JFK was dispatched. So I thought it was a great idea. You were gonna know that, you know, the rig was there, that you had a crew available, you were gonna put, you know, the I Am Responding together with yours. I don't understand it all, but I knew, you know, you have a different kind of program. You were gonna know that we had a crew.
And that's
At
still
no
the goal and
time-
what appears on that paper, that we will roster in the units so that they're on the board, and the job is simply dropped to them, saving valuable time and transferring the job. That's all on that piece of paper.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you, the way I read this is what I understood it. But at the same time, you were very specific in saying if they are not in the building, they are off duty and will not be dispatched, and I did not understand
If
that.
I can interject for 1 second, because I want business to be accomplished here. Number one, we're here because we need to make sure we execute this agreement officially with Hackensack Meridian to make sure that the 6 a.m., the 6 p.m. time period that our EMS said we can't handle, we need help, is done. Currently, to this date, it's not official yet until this meeting is over and we accept this the way that it is.
Did you read the contract?
I did. I
You
had it
did.
in my
What
hand.
does it say in the contract?
I'm not gonna, I don't have a.
It's one piece of paper
No, I read that.
that
I
says
read-
nothing, except it says we're gonna be paying JFK Meridian. Did you read
Okay,
that?
I read that, and I questioned the attorney in reference to that, and that is not, in fact, while I saw the email from Dan, I spoke to Mike Dupont. Mike, but can I just finish my question and we can address that? Because I also saw that the RFP is cited as a piece of evidence, and that is what we would be using in order to execute this contract. Is that correct, Mike?
That's correct.
Okay.
I'm going to incorporate it into the contract.
Okay, so this is what I need to know, what we're able to do with. I have to separate out two things. Number one, we have business to do up here as a council. We have to either turn around and vote to accept this and move this into practice tonight. And now we're finding out that we have protocol issues in regards to dispatch. These two things are separate.
No, they're not. JFK Meridian was very specific at that meeting, saying that the protocols had to be in place before the contract. That was their saying.
What I'm hearing, Mike, I'm going to refer to you. Did you or did you not just ask Mary, and did you or did you not just say that we could turn around and execute this piece, and then in the event that protocols need to be adjusted, that can be done afterwards?
Well, what we could do is, we can, again, the resolution is just the authority to execute.
Right.
So the contract, and I spoke to Mr. Brober later on, or earlier, or later this afternoon, that it does need, paragraph 2 is correct, Mary is correct, that it has to be changed to reflect that we are not paying them.
Right.
Also, it has to be amended to incorporate the RFPs within the contract. And then in addition, as I just said to Mary, that we can also make an Exhibit C, these protocols, once they are amended by Dexter and agreed to by Mr. Brober and also you, sir.
Well, who sets the protocols? I want to go through well, can we
well, what
finish with this? Because it's my understanding that these protocols are set in place by the chief.
No, not these.
No.
These were done by JFK Meridian.
No, but the way that we do business here in the borough, don't those protocols go through our police department as well?
Well, I know the chief is sitting out there.
Yeah.
Maybe he can chime in with respect to the protocols and setting forth protocols with respect to dispatching emergency medical services.
The problem exists, though, is that I see it is one button push is going to go to JFK, who's then going to have a different set of protocols than what we would ordinarily do on our end.
No.
No.
That's not how I understand it, but I'm going to let the
which
professionals that
protocols
are
do
in
we go
charge
for?
of this take care of it. Because you guys met on November 7th, correct?
Yeah.
You guys met and discussed, okay. Enlighten us.
Protocols are, thank you, and I apologize for coming in late. Appreciate everybody's opportunity to discuss this further. We've had several very good meetings in which we've discussed with our members of our first aid squad, Hackensack Meridian, and members of the council, opportunities to change the protocol in order to reflect the new contract that's coming up with Hackensack Meridian. So who sets the protocol? In essence, the Saraville Police Department sets the protocol because we have the dispatch center and we have to be able to operate that correctly and efficiently. What we like to do is always have the cooperation of every party that's involved, every stakeholder, and that's what we've tried to do thus far. And I think we've had some very, very good conversations. I think what we should do is move forward. I think what we should see is we have a 6-month period in which to see how everything is going to work out. And I think within that period of time, we can tweak protocols if in fact it's necessary in order to accommodate everybody that's involved right now. But it seems to me that we're moving towards that December 1st date, which I think we want to implement. And it would probably be better to move forward and do that. And then afterwards, how things begin to operate, we can always sit back as a group and once again reconvene. And if there's an issue that needs to be addressed, we can do that. That would be my recommendation.
You know, also I want to point out that the contract has a provision, I think in paragraph 5, that allows us to amend the contract in our discretion and in the way we believe that it is necessary for the service of our residents. I'll throw it out. I mean, tomorrow, I know everyone works, but I'm available tomorrow afternoon if you guys want to at least revise and give me a draft of this. I don't, again, I'm the low man on the totem pole. But if everyone wants to, you know, show up here tomorrow afternoon and just go through this, Mary just gave me a copy of these. I haven't even seen them, but it does, maybe that would be the best if all the stakeholders are available, but I don't know if that's the case. I mean, I'd be willing to come up.
I am asking that this contract only be approved with the stipulation that this be changed. It is not fair to the local residents that they be changed to indicate that if there is a crew in town available, that the second call go to them instead of a second JFK unit that will not be in our building.
And I think,
I'm not talking about if the rig is in our building. I'm talking about that second call. Because right now, it says, if you're not in the building, you're not even in here. We can dispatch something from Edison, but you got a crew here in town. You're just not in your building. That's what they're saying now. It's not right. It's not fair to the residents of this town.
And I think Mr. Broberg's willing to amend these subject to the approval of the EMS as well as the police department.
Yeah, I think the protocol, and I agree with anyone that says that the closest unit should be the one that's dispatched, and I don't think anybody disagrees with that. So if, in fact, the volunteer, remember, this is not a purpose of getting rid of the volunteer services. Even during the 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. period, if there's a crew or there's availability of an ambulance, that ambulance is going, and it's the closest one, it's going to be the one that's dispatched as well. So I don't think anyone is saying that if there's a crew available, or even if there's, and we've defined a crew so that it's specific. If there's someone available and someone else coming, we've talked about that as well, because we've kind of gone over a lot of details. And again, the purpose being is we just want to get someone there as quickly as possible, whether it's our volunteers or the service.
Right.
And that's how we want to go about doing that.
You know, everybody's saying the right things up here, but JFK is the one going to be dispatching the unit. And if they're not in building,
They can't.
yes, they are, Vicky. JFK will be dispatching the unit.
What the protocol that we're recommending is that the call will come into Sarah Police Headquarters. Our dispatchers will determine what the need is. If they feel that there's going to be emergency services, they will then contact Hackensack Meridian, actually by a button on the console. They will advise Hackensack as to what the need is, and at that point, they're going to stay on the line and are going to see as Hackensack will, they will take over and notify the closest ambulance that's available. And that's we felt would be the most effective way of handling that, because it saves time. Mm-hmm. And there's a software package that every ambulance, including our volunteers, will have, so we'll know exactly where those ambulances are. It sounds to me a very good plan. Mm-hmm. I think that's workable. I think obviously we could always tweak it if we have to, but the purpose is to make sure and to ensure that someone is close by, whichever ambulance it would be, to get to the resident needs service.
Again, that's what was said that night of the meeting. But if you're telling me, what was said, you are not considered available if you are not physically in the building, which means that the volunteers, even if they're at their home 1 minute away from the building, they will not be dispatched because they're not in the building. Somebody, maybe from Edison, will be considered closer because they're physically in an ambulance, even though they're not physically closer to the patient. That's what they said. I'm going by what you said at Morgan the other night. You didn't say it to me.
We are more than happy to sit back down and amend the protocols however they serve Sayreville best. That's really all I can say.
That's all I'm asking. It's all I'm
They've
asking.
said it 15 times at this point.
We will have written word, sorry, we will have written words within this protocol that basically says that whoever is closest will be dispatched. I mean, that's the simplicity of this. So Dexter and as long as you guys approve this, once you approve it, I'll have you guys initial it, Mr. Brober initial it, and then I will make sure that it's incorporated into the contract, as well as the police chief, which you guys are the big gurus.
Most important guy right there.
Right, okay.
No, actually, the most important is our community and making sure that everybody is satisfied so it works properly.
Don was still up here.
No, that's okay.
You can use that mic.
Again, like I said, I have no problem with everything that's being discussed here this evening. I have no problem with going forward with this. Mark has been coming into town already, doing stuff off the record and things like that. What I wanted to make sure was tonight, again, that we have these protocols properly done and we follow them. That's the thing. We have to follow them. If we don't follow them, they mean nothing. The piece of paper that they're on is worthless. And that's all I'm asking for. I've been asking for that right along. I think we need to help. We are 100% behind whatever the Borough Council decided on, whether it be Robert Wood or JFK. It's JFK Hackensack. We're happy to work with them. I invited Mark to our building. We went over things, and we're going to set up whatever we need to do to make it happen. But all I'm saying is that second ambulance, we got guys that are 3 minutes away. That I am responding now is more important than ever. Because if I'm not in my building and I'm only two and a half minutes away, and you guys are already out on that first ambulance, if they don't put our pagers in, we don't know that I am responding. I'm only 2.5 minutes away. Well, the second ambulance is coming out of JFK. It's 15 minutes away. That's all I'm saying is we're not getting that call even as a second call based on what we originally set up here. And that's what I'm complaining about. And that's my biggest complaint is we want to get an ambulance to the Borough Civil perishable right away. And JFK, I have no problem with them taking a first call all day. Because I'm not going to sit in my building while I got a paid crew sitting across town. If I can go to the sub shop or I can go to the cleaners and do something else, and I get paged out when I know they're already out on the road, I'm going to make my point to get to the building and get that second ambulance out. But I can't be considered out of service just because I'm not in the building. That's what I'm concerned about. And that was my biggest concern. And I talked to Mark earlier tonight about it because that is my biggest concern. You're going to put the volunteers out of service totally during the day, and JFK is going to be responsible for everything. And that's all we were concerned about. I asked that question at the meeting the other night, correct, Mark? If we were going to be paged out. And I was told that JFK doesn't have the capability, Sayreville Police has to page you out. Well, Sayreville Police isn't going to know to page us out if they're not told to. So I know we're going to trust them and they're going to do that. But all I'm asking for is that fair shake to get out and get that second crew out and the third crew out. Because there's more times than one ambulance is needed in the borough of Sayreville at any one time. And that's all I'm asking for. And I think our attorney is on the right track when he said that if we amend the protocols and come up with the right protocols, and we have regular meetings with the police chief and our officers and JFK, and set up a proper committee, I think it could work, and I think it could work well. And that's where I want to leave it. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Anyone else from the public wish to speak at this time? Yes, ma'am, come on up.
Ruthie Mahoney, 2 Gerard Place, Parlin. Just have one question. The 6th month, at the end of the 6th month, who's reviewing what's going on?
The council with the police chief, the squads, JFK, who's ever on public safety, as well as the whole council.
Go back.
Okay, thank you.
And then
goes back out
we'll
to
either
RP.
renew the contract or not.
Okay.
Anyone else from the public wish to speak on any consent agenda item? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I move the consent agenda, the public portion be closed, the consent agenda resolutions be approved on roll call vote.
Second.
Councilpersons Novak,
Yes.
Buchanan,
Yes.
Delina,
Yes.
Enriquez,
Yes.
Kilpatrick,
Yes.
McGill.
Mayor and council, I just wanted to say thank you for taking the things out of the order. My daughter's coming home from college this evening, so I haven't seen her since August, so I appreciate your courtesy, so I'm kind of excited here.
Enjoy.
I want to wish you all a happy Thanksgiving, but once again, thanks for your kindness.
Thank you, Mike.
Have a good night. Tell Allison I said hello.
Come on up. Next. Let's wait, Fred.
Next, we have the following resolutions to be read in full, and Denise is going to read the first one, which is resolution number 2019-363. Mic on? Mike? Thank you.
I'm sorry about that.
We're continuing on the resolutions.
Oh, resolution.
Resolutions, next page.
Okay, right here.
Then we'll go back to the ordinances.
Okay.
Whereas NJSA 40A:4-87 provides that the Director of the Division of Local Finance may approve the insertion of any special item of revenue in the budget of any county or municipality when such items shall have been made available by law and the amount thereof was not determined at the time of the adoption of the budget. And whereas said director may also approve the insertion of an item of appropriation of equal amount. Section 1, now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and council of the Borough of Saraville hereby requests the Director of the Division of Local Finance to approve the insertion of the following items of revenue in the budget of the year 2019 in the sums contained in Section 2, which items are now available as a revenue from the following sources. Section 2, New Jersey Division of Highway Traffic Safety, Drive Sober or Get Pulled Over Grant Program in the amount of $5,500. Section 3, be it further resolved that this resolution shall take effect immediately.
Move the you got
At this time, I'm going to open up the public portion to 2019-363. Anyone wish to speak on this resolution only? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I move the resolution, the public portion be closed, the resolution be passed on roll call vote.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilpersons Novak,
Yes.
Buchanan,
Yes.
Delina,
Yes.
Enriquez,
Yes.
Kilpatrick,
Yes.
McGill. You have the following resolution to be read in full, Resolution 364-19. Now therefore be it resolved by the Borough of Saraville County, Middlesex State of New Jersey, and hereby recognizes the following. One, that Resolution 2019-321 adopted by the Mayor and Council on October 28th, 2019 is hereby rescinded and further replaced by Resolution 2019-364. The governing body does hereby authorize the submission of a strategic plan for the Saraville Municipal Alliance Grant for the fiscal year 2021 in the amount of initials DEDR, the amount of $40,491. Cash match, $10,122.75. In kind, $30,368.25. The governing body acknowledges the terms and conditions for administering the Municipal Alliance Grant, including the administrative compliance and audit requirements.
At this time, I'm going to open up the public portion to Resolution 2019-364. Anyone wish to speak on this resolution? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I move the public portion be closed and the resolution adopted on roll call vote.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilpersons Novak,
Yes.
Buchanan,
Yes.
Delina,
Yes.
Enriquez,
Yes.
Kilpatrick,
Yes.
McGill.
Next item, we're going back up to number 5.
The public hearing on the following ordinances. Ordinance number 477-19, an ordinance amending Chapter 9, Animal Control of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Saraville to add Section 9-3.9, banning the sale of dogs and cats from pet shops associated with puppy and kitten mills.
At this time, I'm going to open up the public portion for ordinance 477-19.
Name and address.
Good afternoon, Tom Leach, Acco, New Jersey.
I'm sorry, what was your name, sir?
Tom Leach,
L-E-
Leach.
Thank you.
On behalf of my clients with the Coalition of Responsible Pet Stores, I'd just like to ask that you consider holding the ordinance tonight. I'm sure you've heard a lot about my clients. I'm sure I've heard some of it in your last meeting. I'm sure you've received additional content handed to you about my clients and other pet stores. I think it'd be in your best interest to hear both sides of the issue. I think we have a lot to tell, a lot to uncover about the truth of their operations. I don't think the 3 minutes here is the best place to litigate this issue. Just respectfully ask that you convene a stakeholder meeting. We can go through some of our concerns with the preamble, setting forth the justification for your ordinance, as well as our concerns about banning regulated businesses in the state. Again, respectfully, just ask you to table the ordinance, convene a stakeholder meeting. Happy to answer any questions that any of you may have.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak on this ordinance?
Good evening. My name is Elda Hubbard. I am an animal rescue. I am co-founder of Sammy's Hope. I come as an individual and a volunteer in animal rescue for 15 years. My passion has been saving animals because the homelessness situation is really out of control. There are so many animals who linger or perish in animal shelters for lack of homes. So I ask that you vote yes on this pet ordinance to avoid having people go and buy puppies from puppy mills, which in itself is an inhumane situation, as many of you I'm sure have researched. So, that's the main reason why I'm here, okay? So I thank you for taking up this ordinance, and I do hope that you will vote yes so that we can avoid having, aggravating the homelessness problem in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public wish to speak? Yes, sir, come on up.
My name is Donald McAndrews. I live at 48 Plum Street.
Donald, what was your last name?
McAndrews?
MC?
Yep. that's-
ANDREWS?
Yep.
Thank you.
I just wanted to.
Just speak a little bit louder into the mic.
Sorry. Give me
No, don't touch it, you don't touch it.
I just wanted to.
Give him a
echo
hand
what
mic.
was said,
The hand mic might be better.
Hello?
You want to make sure that you're getting
Yeah,
picked
sorry.
up on the
I just wanted to
audio.
echo what was said. The lady who just spoke, we are resident, my wife does work at volunteer at Sammy's Hope, so I have seen firsthand, and I just want to throw my support for this issue, and hope you vote yes on it.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public wish to speak? Okay, please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Serena Choi. I am a serial resident.
Sorry, what was the last
You
name?
need the full address?
Yes.
48
And your
Plum
name
Street.
again, please? I'm sorry.
Serena Choi, CHOI.
Thank you.
I'm just going to read a statement.
Sure.
I'm usually very uncomfortable speaking in public, but this is a very important issue to me, so I am going to suck it up and going to speak my mind. I want to echo what I've already expressed to the emails I've sent to you guys, and this is it's a very important issue and a smart, proactive part on your side. Not only do we not want to have anything to do with a store in our town that would source stores from puppy mills and other similar, mass breeding productions facilities, and we also want to be on the right side of this effort to do away with these terrible places together. If you do a little bit of research, you can see all the horrors and all the medical problems and mental problems these dogs have when they come from puppy mills. And with the inbreeding and the inhumane conditions that how they are breed and how they are sold and how they are transported. I just want everyone to think about it and just make sure that, do what's right, and hopefully we'll have some good news.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the public wish to speak on this ordinance? If not, I move the public portion be closed and the ordinance be approved on second and final reading and advertised according to law.
Before we do that, can I just ask before you close the public, well, if you want to close the public portion first?
Need a second.
Any second?
Second, to close the public portion, but can I make comment before we move to adopt?
Yes.
Over the last, I would say, 3 days, I know that my inbox for the borough email has been inundated with now emails from both sides on this particular ordinance, from the Humane Society, from individuals from Sammy's Hope, like you said, your emails. And now I started to get emails and calls from pet shop owners now as well. And I'm a little torn between the two at this point. I'm a diehard animal lover. My husband's even more. I can't even begin to tell you how many stuffed animals I own because they've come to my door because he has donated to everything under the sun. But before we vote on this, I was hopeful that maybe I could get both sides since they're here, Mr. Leach, is it? And then I know that we had the woman that came up and spoke, and you were the one that presented us with, there was another woman also, she looks similar to you, that we all got this packet. Is there a way that we can table this just for now so that the two entities can come together, talk a little bit? I was taking a look at what's been disseminated to other municipalities now ever since I've been getting these emails. They're very similar. Some municipalities have adopted it as written. Others have worked to amend it so that way legalized, humane pet shop owners that actually do the right thing aren't completely banned from this. I don't know enough about the topic myself, but I think that maybe if the two stakeholders got in a room together, talked about some things, maybe we can make sure we're doing what's right for these animals on both sides. One of the things I researched when I was trying to figure out, okay, is this a good ordinance or is this too restrictive? Some of the things I read some of these ordinances can actually push to more like black market sales of animals, where instead of people going to a reputable pet store, or a rescue if they didn't want a rescue animal, I'm a rescue girl, that's how I got my dog, they would then turn around and end up going to these puppy mills anyway outside of the state because they didn't have the ability to go to a reputable shop that was actually doing things according to law. I don't know how accurate that is. It's what I've been trying to pull online. I don't know if anyone else on the council started to look into this since we started to get emails. I just can't stomach to see the atrocities that go on. I don't want any animal hurt. Dog, cat, pet, fish, I don't care what it is. But I don't know if this is necessarily the right thing. And I was curious if the two sides would be willing to meet and if the council would be okay with tabling it until we had an opportunity for them to at least try and talk. We may end up with the exact same thing, and I'm fine with that too, but maybe there is something we can work out if you guys see something problematic from your side and from your side. Any other comments?
Just point out to everybody, if we table it, it can't be brought up until after the new year.
Okay.
Totally accurate.
I'm just saying, yes, it is, unless we have a special meeting.
Meeting.
You need 2 meetings, and we only have 1 more before the end of the year.
Unless you want to table it to the next meeting, if you think that both sides can come up with a result before that.
Here's what I have. Here's what I know. I know that the commercial, large-scale commercial breeding is not wanted in this town. We don't have any right now, and that's what this prohibits from this coming in, right in the second paragraph. It prohibits shops from coming into town with large-scale commercial breeding facilities. You want a pet boutique? That's different. This is large-scale commercial breeding. That's what we're trying to eliminate. I don't know, I think your thought process behind wanting to get 2 groups together is a good idea. However, I don't know how well that would go over.
I don't know either.
I'm sure over time, there's been other towns that have gone through this already, and that's where we got this ordinance from, other town. And it was put through our attorney to review and to come up with one for Saraville. I like what he put together, and I like to move forward with it.
I was just given the opportunity to take a look at some of our preamble and where the whereas pieces are, and now I'm looking at 2 sides of it. Some of the statements, I like to vote on things that I can prove and see without a shadow of a doubt when I can. I know that I had gotten a lot of literature over the last couple of days now. I think we all probably got, and Sammy's Hope is wonderful. I mean, they're right here in town and great. And I don't know, from the email that I received from Mr. Leach and whoever he represents, they're in favor of things like the Sammy's Hope, and they don't want to see that situation go away. I think this might be something that's too restrictive too. I don't know though.
I'm going to be honest with you. I hate the thought of puppy mills, and
me too.
Trying to prevent them from having a place to sell their puppies would maybe eliminate the puppy mills. My whole thing is, well, 2 things. Number 1, I said if we change this at all, it has to be put off till the beginning of the year.
Right, but they may not change it. It may come back exactly the same way. And that's fine too.
My one problem is I don't know how you enforce it.
That's another question.
How does our health department go out there and ascertain where every single dog came from and exactly what kind of puppy breeder it came from? That's my only problem. The feelings behind this, I absolutely agree with it. I just don't know, as a town or as a borough, how do we enforce this? I don't know, and that's my problem.
And that's what a lot of municipalities that even did adopt this, they said, I don't even know how we're going to be able to enforce this ordinance at all.
I don't, I'm speaking, right now.
I agree.
You know, we use the county board of health for a lot of these inspections and stuff, and how do they ascertain exactly where the puppies come from? They would then have to go out and inspect the puppy mills to see if it's, okay, is this the kind of puppy mill we think is good? Or is this the kind of puppy mill that abuses animals and just, you know, breeds them till they die?
And it's my understanding through my research, I don't even know if we have puppy mills here in the state of New Jersey that operate.
Yeah.
I think that most of them are out of state. They're not even from here.
I would like to see us be able to say, we don't want dogs sold in this town that came from these horrendous puppy mills that you read about all the time. How we go about doing that? This might be a feel-good ordinance.
Right.
And we can't.
Well, most
enforce.
ordinances
I just-
most of our ordinances are, I mean, not most of our.
I think
are
it's the
complaint-
best we can do to
Are
stop
complaint
it.
generated.
Right.
Are complaint generated. You get a complaint and Board of Health goes out and investigates the complaint. That's how, they don't go out and do random.
Like I said, I think this might be the best we can do.
I
just don't
agree,
see how we can do
but
any
that's
more.
where I started to say it might be. And I have two stakeholders here right now that one is asking to sit down and talk. I think the other group would probably say, okay, I'll sit down and talk, but we may end up at the same place. I just want to make sure that both sides are heard. I think that as a council person, when I get two sides coming to me very passionately, equally passionately, in order to turn around and let them speak, and actually not let us interfere, but maybe let them talk, I don't see how that hurts us. It might actually work to the benefit of this ordinance, strengthening it maybe, or maybe just coming back with the same way. All I'm asking is, I hear what you're saying. Again, if I was to vote right now, listen, I know how I feel about animals, okay? But I want to do right. I want to make sure that this is something we can enforce. Maybe it's something they can work out together and it makes it more enforceable. All I'm asking is, are we okay to table, to let those two groups talk? Maybe we can have Becky actually be a mediator, or I don't know, pick a word. Well, but give them the opportunity to utilize this area, talk, and then, you know, if Becky sits in, she can give us.
If at all possible, I don't know whether this even went to our Board of Health first to ask.
I don't know
their
either.
opinion. And I
don't
would
think
really
so.
like their opinion. I have no problem, you know, giving this a little bit more time, but I would like something there that we can really enforce to make sure that they cannot sell their puppies here if they abuse them.
And now and that's exactly what my objective is too. But
Ordinance does that. There's no, I don't know how you would get to where you want to go.
I'm going to be honest with you, it might be the best we can do.
that's what I'm saying. I'm not.
We may pass it, but.
I'm not in the business. I'm a consumer. I'm somebody that is going to go and look to find an animal in the, well, I'm a pet-free environment right now because Haley is so deathly allergic to anything that has fur, hair, you name it, saliva. But I would be somebody that would be looking potentially down the line to purchase a dog or to turn around and get a cat or something. So I'm looking at this only from a customer perspective. They're looking at it as individuals within the field, rescuers, pet shop owners, whatever. I think they should have an ability to sit down and talk about something that they're going to be governed by. I'm just a
What catches my eye,
customer.
other than the first one, which discusses about large-scale breeding, is the bottom paragraph on first page, which says, "The ordinance will not affect a consumer's ability to obtain a dog or cat of his or her choice directly from a breed-specific rescue organization or shelter, or from a hobby breeder where the consumer can see directly the conditions in which the dogs or cats are bred, or can confer directly with hobby breeder concerning those conditions." I mean, I have no problem with somebody going to those locations as well. This is a high-scale, large-scale commercial breeding. And I don't know, if you want to push it off to keep on, you know, give the ability to come in here, I just don't think that's the right thing to do.
Well, I have people in here right now that are asking for the opportunity to speak to the other side. I don't know if the other side is opposed to it. I mean, we can turn around and open the public portion for a couple of seconds in order to let them say whether they're okay with that. I think that they're pretty reasonable people, but I would feel comfortable tabling. They could turn around, walk out right now and say, you know what? I don't want to talk to you guys. Next meeting, we come up, boom, there we go. We can turn around and say, we want to reintroduce
Would you
this.
be willing to?
I want to go forward with this ordinance. I like.
I'm just saying, open the public portion again to let them speak one more time, to see if they're, but
I
you would
mean-
have to take back your motion to close the public portion.
Okay. So I'm okay with making a motion to table so that these two entities,
We have a motion on the floor, though, it has to be voted on. Well, actually, it's just to table?
I have a question.
Okay.
Dan, are there any licenses or permits for a puppy or kit mill to be open within the next month that you know about or are aware of in the town of Sayreville?
I wouldn't have any knowledge of that.
Okay, because
think
if nothing's
that's what
happening in the
this
next
says.
month, well, what I'm saying is if there's not one about to be built in this town in the next month, I don't see the harm in tabling it to the next meeting.
Okay, but
That's my point.
I think what this is any current pet shops we have, we're saying you
Or-
can't
or
well,
any-
get even from out of state.
Yeah, or any
And,
aspect of it.
I kind of,
Yeah, it's-
that's a
covers
good
it.
point,
It's very
too. We
broad,
don't have
so-
anything right now, we could,
Yes.
and come back with this, but I want to see something passed. I don't know.
I do too. I
what
just don't know
form,
if this
but
is it.
something has to be passed.
These are all live documents, correct?
Correct.
So this could be amended down the road. We have it on the books. We can amend it down the road.
or we could just let the two people talk. And then we don't have to turn around and do another meeting and amend and change. Listen, I have nothing vested here. I just want two groups to be able to talk about an ordinance before we put it through, because that's what the request was. I've received things on one side and received things on the other side. I don't know, I thought that's what we were supposed to do up here. Make government more, available to the people to help. I mean, this was put before us, it came from another municipality, it was here, move forward with it, individuals came and spoke. On the surface, I read it, it looked good, and then I started to get responses from residents and other individuals. I looked into it and said, okay, maybe we need to look at it a little bit more. The preamble here is very, eye-opening, jaw-dropping. But then I started to read some of what the other side had to say, and they called into question some of the statements even in the preamble. I mean, listen, I can't even listen to a Sarah McLachlan song anymore because I have seen too many puppy commercials and things where they are treated horribly. I don't want that here. Just want people to talk. So, I mean, can we move forward? I mean, I don't want to beat this to death here.
I already have a motion on that.
Either we,
So you made a motion? No, I made a motion to close the public portion and to adopt the resolution.
was there a second on that one?
It's only a,
Well, remember
The way I heard it was that the motion was to close the public portion.
Public portion, that's
There was
why I
no
stopped.
motion.
No, but I
said the
interject,
whole thing, but she only seconded closing the.
I only seconded the closing of the public portion. But I also stated that I was only going to, I paused and I said, I only want to close the public portion to discuss the ordinance without adoption. I specifically said
Change my
that.
motion.
I mean, seriously, this is what we come to a dead heat on?
What
Well, we have to
can do
vote
is
it
we can
down and then make
Take
a-
a vote on Danny's motion.
and then make a motion to
If it
table?
fails, and then,
Then the ordinance dies and you have to bring it up next year.
Or can I make a motion to table the ordinance instead, after that?
is motion to table in order, since we didn't have a vote on the first motion, or do we have to vote on the first motion first? First motion first.
Or can we read, can we
Let
look
me,
back?
let me get this clarified for the record then. So Council President Buchanan then made a motion to close the public portion and adopt this resolution tonight. And then I got a second from Councilwoman Kilpatrick, then also further stating that she just would rather just close the public portion for further comment and discussion. I had no other seconds following that, and that's what I have on record.
So, as our attorney, with those statements, I didn't second his motion to adopt. I asked the statement if I can close the public portion without adopting the ordinance. I didn't second his motion in its entirety.
I have that Councilman Buchanan, and excuse me if I missed the whole comment of closing the public portion and adopting the ordinance on roll call vote. I didn't catch that end of it, and I apologize if that's exactly what was stated for the record. Following that, I had a second from Councilwoman Kilpatrick, further stating that she would rather close the second to close the public portion at this time because she had further comments to make.
But there was no, again, I understand what you have, Terry.
Mm-hmm.
However, there was no motion just to close. So there was
I
no reason
asked a
for a second.
question.
So then, my question then is, the second that I received, Mr. Attorney, how do I perceive that? That's correct.
Okay, so there was no second on the motion, so you're not voting on it.
So then, at this point, I would need a second on Council President Buchanan's motion to close the public portion and adopt this resolution as read tonight. We need a second on that motion.
Yes.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Can I now move a motion to table this ordinance to give the opportunities to discuss?
Just keep on breathing.
Can I ask you to amend your motion to say we're gonna remove it? Because once it's tabled, it's a
Right.
little different.
Okay, that's
Then
fine.
carrying it.
That's fine.
Carrying it to the next meeting.
That's fine.
And if
A
we
motion
don't get
mend,
anything else, we don't.
So then I would need a-
We can just do it at the next meeting.
a motion amended as stated.
So the motion then is made by Councilwoman who? Who's making this
Let
motion?
Ms. Novak, Councilwoman Novak make the motion, and I will second it.
Postpone
Carry
until the following meeting.
the vote on this ordinance to the following meeting.
Second. And in that time period, hopefully those two.
And that meeting will be on December
16th.
16th.
We'll further this discussion, either pass it as is, or make chances and introduce it again in the new.
Correct.
Okay, so on Councilwoman Novak's motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, councilpersons. Novak?
Yes.
Buchanan?
No?
Delina?
Yes.
Enriquez?
Yes.
Kilpatrick?
Yes.
McGill?
Yes.
Now, as Ms. Kilpatrick said, I would like you guys to get together,
Well, we
look
should
at this
schedule it, else
ordinance.
it's never gonna happen.
Oh.
And I think we should.
Well, if it doesn't happen, then we move the ordinance as is. It's gonna be left up to these two groups to try and work something out, so that way you guys can talk this out, okay?
Tweak this, maybe just the preamble, just, I guess that
Whether
was
it be the-
very, very harsh.
Yes.
You know, whatever you come up with, we will look at, and if we agree with it, we will move it in the new year. If not, we'll pass this as it sits. But something will be done.
Item,
There's a question on the floor. Are we allowed
he
to?
can come up during the public portion. During
For the public portion.
Not now.
One more
Not
minute.
now during the
Not now.
public, not now during the
Not now.
public portion.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Next item?
Public hearing on ordinance number 478-19, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 5 of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Saraville to amend Section 5-5.6 A and B, political signs.
I'll open up the public portion to ordinance 478-19. Nobody from the public wishes to speak. I move the public portion be closed and the ordinance approved on second and final reading, advertised according to law.
Second.
Councilpersons Buchanan?
Yes?
Delina?
Yes.
Enriquez?
Yes.
Kilpatrick?
Yes.
McGill?
Yes.
Novak?
Yes.
Public hearing on ordinance number 479-19, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 7 of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Saraville to amend Section 7-3.3, parking prohibited at all times on certain streets.
At this time, I'm going to open up the public portion of 479-19. Anyone from the public wish to speak? If not, I move the public portion be closed and the ordinance adopted on second and final reading, advertised according to law.
Second.
Councilpersons Buchanan?
Yes?
Delina?
Yes.
Can we
Enriquez?
have
Yes.
a question first? Because this ordinance has a fatal flaw, I believe. It only discusses 50 feet on one side instead of on both sides. I thought it was going to be fixed. It still says the same thing. Police recommendation was 50 feet on either side of that crosswalk, and the one they're leaving out is the most dangerous one, the one that as it goes down North Ernston. Now, I'm okay with passing this if we immediately we either hold this and fix it, or if it can be fixed now, is it considered a substantial change? Or can it be fixed now? That's a substantial change. So we either pass this and immediately do another one to do the other side of the intersection?
Is it a substantial change just to remove the word north?
How about, can we add just north and south?
Yes.
Okay,
But if we
that's
have-
fine, because I'd like it to be done ASAP.
From my knowledge, it would be okay if we just remove the word north. It would be back to where you want it then. 50 feet of the intersection, of the crosswalk. Just removing the word north. I don't think that's.
Well, it still says,
So that would account for both sides, correct?
Right, it would get rid of the word north. I don't think
or
that's.
north and south.
Is that, no, we don't have to put the word south, because then. Just 50 feet. 50
Yeah,
feet.
but again, what we really want is 100 feet, 50 feet on either side of the crosswalk.
Where it says side in the ordinance, if you take that south out, that
North.
would account for both of it.
Yeah, it would be both sides.
Yeah, but
Okay.
that's saying north of the crosswalk. If you
Yeah.
take out the south side of this ordinance, that means both sides would be covered. North is just saying from the crosswalk north, which is up to the intersection.
But again,
Where's the word south?
then it would be 100 feet, 50 on each side of the crosswalk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, what he said, amend it, and then we can still have the second reading before the end of the year. Just amend it. I don't care how you amend it, whether you say 50 feet on either side or 100 feet, however we do it, as long as it gets done right, because the funniest thing is, the side that's in here was the safest side, most lit side. It's the other side as you start going down North Urmston, that's darkest. So we can amend this and do public hearing at the
So I
next
make a
meeting.
motion that I rescind my original motion, and I make a motion that we hold over till the next meeting.
Councilpersons Buchanan?
Yes.
Delina?
Yes.
Enriquez?
Yes.
Kilpatrick? Yes. McGill?
Yes.
Novak?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, is there a borough attorney report?
No.
Engineers report? Okay, at this time, I'm gonna open up the public portion for any and all comments. Now,
Again, Tom Leach, Leach, Acton, New Jersey. Just a quick question, and first, thank you for your consideration this evening. I believe you had referenced a mediator of some kind, and I don't know if that was a health officer. I think it would be helpful for a representative of the borough to hear both sides and report back to all of you. Welcome
I'll
to.
come.
I'm sorry?
I'll be there.
Great, so we'll work through you and set up a meeting?
Yep.
I will.
Just give your phone number and we'll get, I'll ask the individual from Sammy's Hope to give me a number for somebody and if
Sure.
they want to attend. If you can give it to the clerk.
Sure, I'll grab a business card, thank you.
Larry Cohen, I live in Fanwood, New Jersey. I'm a volunteer with the Humane Society of the United States. It was my wife that you heard from two
Thank you.
weeks ago.
Thank
I
you.
was in another town speaking at a previous commitment.
Yes, she did say that.
Yeah. With all due respect, I didn't come up here during the public portion of the ordinance because Mr. Morton and I usually go back and forth at these meetings, and he didn't speak, so I wasn't going to speak. Unfortunately, you're misunderstanding your own ordinance. This ordinance, basically the crux of this ordinance is Section 2. And it would not allow any store, now or in the future, to sell dogs or cats. It would welcome any kind of store, Petco, PetSmart, Pet Supplies, Plaza, any of those stores that sell supplies, services. It welcomes any kind of animal store. It just doesn't allow them to sell dogs and cats because our position is dogs. Stores in New Jersey don't sell cats. That's in the ordinance. Our position is that stores in New Jersey source their animals from puppy mills. So you're not outlawing puppy mills. You can't outlaw puppy mills. They don't exist in New Jersey. If you look at the store's breeder lists, which they are required to submit to the towns that they operate in, they source their animals from Midwestern states. Indiana, Iowa, Arkansas, Illinois, where the laws are lax. And these are big agriculture states. These are agribusiness states where livestock is king, and dogs are considered livestock. And they are treated, in our opinion, horribly. And so this is an effort that's been adopted by over 130 towns in New Jersey. And the ordinance is pretty much the same. I'm not sure I understand what you said about how they've tweaked it to allow certain sales, because the ordinance says you can't sell dogs. But the reason it's being done, not just by New Jersey towns, but by 2 states, California and Maryland, this is state law, as well as over 300 towns and cities across the country. They're trying to cut off the supply by ending the demand. The thinking is, if people don't buy these dogs, then hopefully the mills will run out of places to sell them to.
No, I think I understood it. I started to do my research on it, and I found the exact same thing. I actually read, I don't remember whose email, that actually gave a whole bunch of links. I'm certain we all got them, including a mill in Pennsylvania also.
Yeah,
I looked and I saw them.
There are state bills in many states right now.
I'm not
New York
against
has
your
them.
ordinance.
No, I
I'm not
understand
against
that.
it. I just.
I understand that. And, you know, I'm sure Mr. Morton will follow me up here to say that everything I'm saying is a lie, but it's not. New Jersey law says that stores in New Jersey can only get their dogs from USDA licensed breeders. And there aren't USDA licensed breeders in New Jersey. So they go to these Midwest states with these big commercial breeders where the dogs are terribly mistreated. In part because of the USDA, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, which follows the Animal Welfare Act. That's the law that governs these breeders. And that law allows breeders to do things like keep the animals in the cages 24/7, defecate and urinate on themselves and other animals, doesn't provide for socialization or interaction with humans, and allows the breeders to kill the animals when they no longer need them or want them. This is legal. And this is who they source from. And what has made this much worse is that when this law went into effect 3 or 4 years ago, and we were allowed to take a look at what these breeders were doing because their inspection reports were on the USDA website, we found unbelievable violations that these breeders were committing. And I think we provided those to you, or shown you links, and you know, I mean, they're documented, they're real, what these breeders were doing that these stores were getting their animals from. And then here's what happened in 2017. That website where you could go to look at the inspection reports of these breeders, it was blacked out. You can't do it anymore. So 2 results. A, New Jersey law is ineffectual because the law states that they can't source from breeders who have Animal Welfare Act violations. Well, we can't find that out anymore. We have no idea. And 2, they now go around saying that their breeders are fantastic. They're the best breeders. They're wonderful breeders because you can't disprove it. They say they can get the reports. I could show you the reports of the breeders they've been using. I'm sorry, I'm not going to believe them when they show you the reports only they can get now. You know, that's like saying a restaurant in town that had violation after violation after violation now is saying, you can't inspect this anymore, but we'll show you our reports. We'll get another inspector, and we'll show you our reports, and believe us, they're great. So that's all this was about. You could have 100 stores in Sayreville. They just can't sell dogs and cats because hundreds of towns and cities and states across the country think that that is wrong, the way it's happening. It's wrong. And your concern about, you know, where are people going to go now is legitimate. There are other issues, no question about it. But I don't think you know, throw out the baby with the bathwater. You don't say because there are other problems that you ignore this problem. This is a real problem.
Yeah, I'm not trying to do that. All I wanted to do was have
Yeah,
the
no,
two
I
parties
understand that,
meet.
and
That's it.
You know, we will obviously if you want some sort of meeting between the 2 groups, you know, we'll come. But I can tell you, we've been at odds with each other for years, and our positions are pretty entrenched. And you know, it is what it is.
Well, like I said, we didn't vote on the ordinance. We voted to have you to talk. you can come back with the same piece of paper, and then we vote. That's it. I'm not saying what side I'm on yet, because I know what side I'm on. I'll be curious to see what you guys come back with, and that's it. That's all I did.
Can I just want to ask one question. There are no breeders in New Jersey.
There are breeders in New Jersey, but we've seen the breeder lists from these stores, and they've never sourced from anybody.
Okay, no, don't know, I'm just asking a question. Now,
Now, when you say no breeders, they can only source from USDA licensed breeders.
I'm
so-
asking you, let's say there's a breeder in South Jersey.
Mhm.
Now, the laws on how they have to take care of those animals are different than what they are in these other states? Is that what you're saying? Because that's...
Well, you become USDA licensed when you have, I think it's 5 or more breeding females.
Okay. But still, the way they're kept, socialization, the cleanliness.
If you have less than 5 breeding females and you're
don't
not
need-
USDA licensed, it's up to the town, county, state, what they want to
Okay. Just
pass or
questions.
enforce.
Okay. Well, that's
Yeah.
just what I wanted to know. If you're in this state, do you have to go by, the Humane Society that, or whatever was happening in Helmetter down there?
Yeah.
They were closed because of their inhumane treatment. They weren't even breeding. They were just not.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know, if you're a breeder in this state, do you have to live up to those regulations that a Sammy's Hope would have to, as far as cleanliness, as far as socialization? I'm asking you, because I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's really important, from your perspective, to have such an exemplary organization like Sammy's Hope in your town to come here and speak in favor of this ordinance. To me, that says an awful lot. If I may, I'd also like to say one more thing. What we say a responsible breeder is, and it says it in the ordinance, Mr. Buchanan mentioned it, is somebody who cares about where their dogs go. They want to see the home. They want the owner, the potential owner, to come see them and see how they treat the dogs. Obviously, that can never happen in a pet store if the dog's coming from Missouri. And responsible breeders, they don't sell to pet stores. In fact, they have it in their code of ethics that they will not sell to pet stores. The American
They
Kennel
do
Club.
direct sales with families?
Right. The American Kennel Club, which is an umbrella organization for individual breed clubs, like you're a member of the New Jersey League of Municipalities. So 96% of the breed clubs that are members of the AKC, whether it be Bulldog, Schnauzers, Goldens, whatever, they have in their code of ethics, we will not sell to a pet store. Because they think it's wrong. That's not how you take a dog and give it to a potential owner. You don't ship it halfway across the country.
Then you have no idea what happens to the
Yeah.
animal.
That's right.
I got you.
This also addresses what happens to the animals that are left behind in these commercial breeding facilities. The puppies who get out and into the stores, they're the lucky ones. The dogs who are allowed to be killed because they can't breed anymore, those are the unlucky ones. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public wish to speak? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Move the public portion be closed?
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
It's not over.
I'll start right up there.
We're gonna go right into this, so we got.
Yes.
Do you need a potty break? Potty break. She needs.
We're just gonna take a few minutes. Sorry, if you can get their phone number, and we'll get Mr. Leach and Sammy's Hopes.
What are you doing?
Almost don't want to read what's his names. Police report.
Oh, your balloons may not fly, you know.
Stop it, will you? You're another one that says my balloons.
I'm telling you. Burst your bubble.
573.
Check here quick special.
Two, three.
That's perfect, that's what we, you know,
My husband says, "Oh, take the dog out for a while." I said, just my husband had the empty nest syndrome when our kids were, not me. I was perfectly happy.
My
not
wife
to
sends
be.
me pictures of dogs all the time. Half of them are jealous.
Oh my God, you don't need that. You're so demanding.
Another month. Well, December 15th.
That's, oh, poor kid is never gonna have his birthday their own.
I'm sorry? Oh, little boy.
Ah, Kevin Jr.?
Mason.
Oh, Mason, that's my grandson's
Yeah?
name, yes. One of the twins.
What
It's
is
Mason and Nathan.
How's your wife feeling? Well?
We went to the
Tired.
doctor today. She's tired. She's a little sore.
Is she dilating at all?
1 centimeter, 70%.
Should have proved that.
70% effaced? Not going to December 15th. No.
Due December 13th.
Yeah, but she's already 1 centimeter and 70% effaced. She's
Go in front of the gavel. Look like you got a little power.
At least get dinner in.
Yeah.
yeah, you're the attorney, you're okay.
Grab the gavel. That's what they got. There you go.
Swing that baby.
There you go.
Swing that baby.
Get in there.
No.
You don't want that job. That's
You
there.
don't want that, you don't want that job. We're gonna run Councilwoman, thank you very much. Okay.
You're welcome.
All right, let's go. Thank you.
I feel well.
So, I know,
It's a new world.
I ain't lying.
Now you don't have to worry about that.
No.
Let's dig a latrine together.
It's Jerry.
Yeah, who's this guy, Jerry?
That's about the holiday parade lights.
Oh, I thought maybe.
Nah,
I threw him that $500 for
Are you ready for me?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Come on up, Vic.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Okay, everyone, I'm going to call the next meeting to order. Would everyone please rise for a salute to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, statement of publication.
Take notice that this agenda session meeting of the mayor and council being held on this 25th day of November 2019 has been advertised and posted in accordance with Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975.
Roll call.
Councilpersons Buchanan,
Here.
Delina, Enriquez,
Here.
Kilpatrick,
Here.
McGill,
Yeah.
Novak.
Here.
Under old business, we're just going to be having 47719 and 47919. Is that correct? Thank you. Communication and committee reports. Councilman McGill.
Thank you, Mayor. Move the following minutes and reports be received and filed. Number one, the municipal clerk's monthly report for the month of October 2019. Number two, the CFO's Investment Authority activity report for the month of October 2019 to receive and file.
Second.
B, applications received for bingo raffle licenses from the following organizations. Number one, PTO Sayreville Upper Elementary School. Number two, Our Lady of Victories HSA. Number three, Sayreville Middle School PTO. Number four, Sayreville Auxiliary Police Association. Number five, PTO Center for Lifelong Learning. And number six, Sayreville Auxiliary Police Association. C, a notice of retirement received from Yvonne Bodinsky from her position in the finance office effective December 31.
Second.
Other than that, progress.
Thank you, Councilman. Planning and zoning, Councilman Delina. Slow down.
Thank you, Mayor. I move the following minutes and departmental reports be received in files, numbers 1 through 3.
Second.
Other than that, I'd like to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. Eat as much food as you possibly can, because it's the one day a year I could do it too. So, happy Thanksgiving. Progress.
Thank you. Public Works, Councilwoman Novak.
Yes, I'd like the minutes and departmental reports as listed on the agenda under A, 1 and 2 be received and filed.
Next item.
Question for Jay. Jay, MacArthur Avenue. We had the one thing collapsed, and it's covered by a steel plate, and then we had another collapse on MacArthur in front of St. Stan's today. Could you give us an update on that?
Well, there's a culvert that runs from the park across MacArthur Avenue into a creek. When the contractor was milling, there was a collapse on that line, so we're looking at options of how we can go through and take care of addressing that problem. In front of State Sands, there were some joints that were moving, and we were concerned that if we went through and just paved it, we we're gonna have the same problem there, so we asked the contractor to cut those out, allow them together, pour concrete, so we hopefully don't have the same problem that we had before with the joints moving. So those were the two issues.
Okay, and we expect this to be finished anytime soon?
Contractor's milling, and he's going to be paving starting tomorrow, so he's looking to be done by Thanksgiving.
The plate will still be there by the thing that fell apart?
Correct. We have to look at how we're going to go through and do that repair, and that is going to take some time. So the contractor wanted to get it paved now that it's milled. So you're going to pave up to the culvert on both sides. We'll have a gap. We'll figure out how to repair it. He'll come back and finish the paving when that's done.
Okay. There was, I talked to Kevin and Damon Wednesday night. I talked to Dave on the phone. Vicki, I didn't get through to you. I would like to have a change order to include the parking lot that the firemen uses, both adjacent to their building and the Legion parking lot, since the Legion allows us to use that parking lot, and substantially, the firemen use it. They can go in and mill and pave, and it was in the area of $40,000. So Denise has said, we've got the money. I'd like the council, I'd like the okey-dokey today, and we can finalize it at the next meeting, only because they're going to be finished tomorrow. So if that's okay with the council, I'd like to go ahead and do that, and then we'll finalize it with a resolution at the next meeting.
Is that a motion?
Yes, that is. Well, I'm asking if everybody agrees to it, I make a motion.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilpersons Novak?
Yes.
Buchanan?
Yes.
Delina?
Yes.
Enriquez?
Yes.
Kilpatrick?
Yes.
Miguel?
Yes.
And everything else is progress. I just really like to say, if everybody looks out here, it's kind of a Band-Aid, but it's a greatly appreciated Band-Aid by the people that work in Public Works. They will now actually have a bay that they can put most of our vehicles in. Up until now, a lot of the new vehicles couldn't fit in there, and they had to work on the outside in all kinds of weather. It's coming along very nicely. I'm very excited. And then I would, like Kevin said, wish everybody a very happy and a healthy Thanksgiving. I don't know if I'll tell everybody to eat too much, because then the ambulance probably will be needed much more. Everybody be thinking their indigestion is a heart attack. But everybody have a happy Thanksgiving, and do everything in moderation.
Thank you. Recreation, Councilman Enriquez?
Thank you. Move the following minutes reports be received and filed. The Recreation Director's report for the month of October 2019.
Second.
All right, I have a Jerry update here. I'd just like to report Sunday, December 8th at 6 p.m. there will be the holiday parade down Main Street to Borough Hall, where there will be a tree and menorah lighting to celebrate the season. Local organizations will be invited on stage to perform a few songs. Free hot chocolate and cookies, along with pictures with Santa, will be available in front of Borough Hall. We also still have the Sayreville Rec Toy Drive going on. If you're interested in donating any new unwrapped toys, you can deliver them to the rec office Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Those toys will be distributed on December 13th from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Registration is still ongoing for all after-school programs at the Sayreville Upper Elementary School, Mommy and Me, and Little Kids Playtime at Kennedy Park. You can register at sayrevilleRec.com. And we also have a bus trip to the Prudential Center on February 29th to see Jurassic World Live. Bus leaves the rec center at 5:30 for a 7 p.m. show. Tickets are $65 each for a lower level section. And progress.
Thank you. Water and Sewer, Councilwoman Kilpatrick?
Thank you. I just have the Water and Sewer Director's report for the month of October 2019.
Second.
And notice received from the Middlesex County Mosquito Extermination Commission of their ongoing water management activities throughout the county to eliminate and/or prevent larval mosquito habitats and minimize use of chemicals for mosquito control. Public notice and application packet is on file with the municipal clerk. Receive and file. And that's all. Happy Thanksgiving to all.
Thank you. Under my report, I move the following minutes and reports be received and filed. The municipal court report for the month of October 2019, the Board of Health and Registrar's report for the months of October 2019, and the Board of Health minutes of June 6, 2019.
Second.
Thank you. Letter B, request to travel. I'd like to have that approved. No objections. I'll go on to letter C, letter of resignation received from Melrose Hose Company number 1 through for Robert Izzo. Receive and file.
Second.
And is looking for a volunteer to come with me to that meeting for between the two groups regarding the pets. Does anyone else want to come?
I'll go, or whoever, I'll go.
Perfect.
But
Okay, I'll get-
after Thanksgiving though, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, thank you. With 41 people coming, I got a lot of work to do.
All right, thank you.
Can I just say one more thing? The Sayreville, there's a new division in the Sayreville Police Department. The acronym is COPS. And they had a food drive at South ShopRite here in Sayreville. They had, I think this is the first year they've done it, they had a tremendous outpouring. And they're killing themselves trying to get all of this stuff delivered to the residents before, and I would really like to, again, Sayreville residents show just how human and kind, and I can't say enough, but I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you. There's nothing for the mayor's report, so we'll go on to the business administrator's report.
Thank you. We need to discuss, we pushed it off to this meeting, the 2020 council meeting schedule. Are we going to discuss it tonight, or are we going to not discuss it tonight?
Well, we'll have something for you for the next meeting.
Okay.
The only thing we're sure of, and we'd like to advertise, Vicki, you said, is the January 1st meeting.
Yeah, I think we should.
That way, people will know that.
January 1st meeting, because we have to take care of swearing-ins and everything, and take care of everything with the fire department, you know.
It might be exactly the same, but we were, trying to tweak it just a little bit with, the agenda session versus the business meeting. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Did you reach out to the fire departments?
Well, the other, we'll get back to you before the next meeting.
Before the next meeting.
Sorry we didn't get to it these 2 weeks.
Any
So much going on.
conversations with the fire departments or first aids? Make sure. Okay.
Okay.
At least that way, we can tell them that January 1st is on and also get somebody to come and do the invocation and stuff.
Next item.
Authorization to adopt a model program entitled Domestic Violence Policy for Public Employers as required by our JIF.
Any objections?
Authorizing the execution of renewal contract between the Borough of Saraville and Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey for the provision of dental care coverage for all full-time borough employees for a 2-year term commencing on January 1st, 2020.
Got a question on that?
December 31st, 2021.
Just full-time employees? What about everybody else? Retirees?
If they're part of the program, yes.
Okay, I'm just
Yep,
saying,
I'm
it
sorry,
says
yes.
all full-time
Okay.
employees, that's why I was questioning.
All
It's for
people who are in our present dental plan.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know.
Next item.
Authorizing the renewal of a contract for animal control services with the Associated Humane Society and the Borough of Saraville for January 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2020.
Any objections?
Authorization to purchase radios for the fire department through New Jersey State contract from Tactical Public Safety in the amount of $19,940.40. A
Can I-
copy of the quote is attached.
Okay, I just wanted to, I've been informed by the first aid. You remember when we first went to Tactical, and the police department had a complaint about the batteries, and all, because they were only lasting an hour or two. And, these shifts are, 10 hours apiece. They got new longer life batteries. It's my understanding that the first aid never did, and they still have these ridiculously short batteries that they have to, if they're in the middle of something, if they're on a standby, they have to change batteries.
I know Morgan was looking for a charging bank a while back. I don't know
Yeah.
if I got it.
But, if we have longer life batteries, I assumed everybody got it when we did replace the batteries for the police. But I would really like to see those batteries replaced for the,
So if people who are in for first aid, would you please reach out for me if that's the case and what you do need? And whether it be Saraville or,
make sure you talk to Don, get a number on them. It just came to my attention. I had no idea. Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
authorization to change title classifications for the following employees: Richard Kevich, Supervisor of Sewer Collection; Christopher Bass, Water Treatment Plant Repair; Colby Redfield, Pumping Station Repair; Kenny Huff, Water Repair 1; Derek Kopic, Water Repair 1; Robert Caramella, Water Meter Reader. Okay. Authorization to award a non-fair and open contract to E.H. Walks for the purchase of one valve exerciser in an amount not to exceed $28,370.
Any objections?
Authorization, nope, that's not that one. We're not putting that one.
Anything else?
I just want to when Vicky's report said about the Middlesex County Mosquito Commission, they have been very, very helpful to us. We reached out for them. They helped around Kennedy Park. If anybody's been walking around Kennedy Park, they did some, and I'm going to say light dredging. I'm not going to say a lot, but they did around the whole, probably around 40 feet around. And they also did areas by the tennis courts that were, we were having trouble with water. And now they actually went to work on through our urging up by the soccer complex. And I think they finished or are about to finish that. They have equipment that we don't have. They have the manpower that we don't have. We've reached out for them. They're a great partner, and I just want to say from the Borough of Saraville, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Progress.
Thank you. Denise, your report?
I'll have a budget transfer resolution and authorization to cancel old outstanding checks.
Thank you. Anything else?
That's it. I just want to ask Dan one thing. What is a valve exerciser? I mean, that sounds like exercise equipment. I'm sure it isn't. Just for my own knowledge, what the heck is it?
If I took a stab at it right now, I would be lying to you that I knew what it was, so I'll get it for you tomorrow. I'll get it for you tomorrow. It opens what day, Jay? No, it opens and closes the valves? Okay.
Mary.
Gotcha.
Mary, Jay said,
Jay,
okay.
yeah, it's opens and closes.
Thanks, Jay.
And Jay, your report? Thank you.
Knows it all.
Ed, your report? Perfect. We'll go on to the public portion. At this time, I'm going to open up the public portion for any and all comments. Anyone from the public wish to speak?
Move the public portion be closed?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Move to
Opposed?
adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Have a good night.
It has to be.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Yep, whatever the, used to be basically one, Diane didn't eat, now it's changed. And.
Happy Thanksgiving, all. That's you all a good night.
Although it probably cost the town a place to insurance. Thank you for everything. Thank you, Denise. I will. I will not overeat, though, I promise. You'd be surprised how many calls we do get. People assuming they're having heart attacks.